Over the past few months, another tech brand has really caught our attention. And today, I want to talk about nothing. And at first, you would say, how peaceful. What? Whoa.
We're going to have a lot of fun puns on this show. A lot of fun wordplay coming.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Side Projects podcast. We help marketers understand what cultural relevance actually means and requires from the people shaping media, art, and tech. And, we had a bit of a scheduling snafu today, so it's an internal podcast. Clara, Trey, welcome.
My favorite kind of snafu, though.
I agree.
Always love to find reasons to
on this hot Monday. Feeling hot. Trey, Clara, when was the last time you thought a new tech product was cool? What
besides Friend?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, besides the Friend pendant.
Loved friend of the pod, Friend.
Right.
I don't know. It's been a minute. Well, the reason I ask is that it really seems to me like, tech is an industry that while once was, very cool and interesting is now severely deficient in cool and cultural cachet, but really not for the lack of trying. We've talked about how Mark Zuckerberg has gone through this at least visual renaissance, I suppose, and he's learned UFC and he's got the chain and he ditched the Caesar cut. Very cool.
Very
bunch of really cool
hydrofoil
stuff.
surfing.
Yeah. Recently had a birthday. Did you see?
No. Happy birthday, King.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Jeff Bezos probably on TRT of some sort, and sailing around the world. Apple kind of recently set up a TikTok account, all tied to their new MacBook Neo, but really in this kind of a Gen Z focused marketing makeover. OpenAI has hired Johnny Ive, formerly of Apple, who kind of designed all of their iconic products. And then we've seen a flurry of other AI companies, the more ascendant tech giants, try and kind of buy cool via these, pop-ups, airmail merch, etc.
The Allbirds.
Allbirds are now an AI company, actually.
I know. That was my joke.
That
was part of it.
Way to tie a through line.
Yeah, exactly.
To tie a through line.
Talk to my shoes.
But I think over the past few months, another tech brand has really caught our attention. And today, I want to talk about nothing. And at first, you would say, how peaceful. Yeah. What? Whoa.
We're going to have a lot of fun puns on this show. A lot of fun wordplay coming.
But Nothing is a UK-based tech brand, relatively nascent. So they were founded in 2020, I believe. And Trey, you've been on Nothing for quite some time.
I was gifted in the early seeding round.
Damn, okay.
You were gifted nothing.
A pair of headphones too, I think it was in brackets.
What was the review?
Seedling.
Like the TLDR review?
Oh, they're great. They're noise canceling. I wear them to the gym.
Wow.
I still have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Very
to the
nice.
gym.
I actually liked them so much that I lost the case, and so I bought a new pair.
Wow.
Even though I was gifted for
Damn.
free.
Wow. I mean, that does speak highly to quality.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, yeah, so they're all about kind of creating the most loved tech brand for the next generation of creatives. In December, they're
all about that.
They're all about that's what we're all about here too.
Yeah.
God, saying that out loud is tough. It felt a lot easier.
I just had to
write
say
that down.
something.
First of all, not my words. In December, they hired Charli Smith, who's the former CMO of Loewe. They hosted 5 Days of Nothing with Outlander magazine, which is
what does that
kind
mean?
of like 5 Days of Nothing. Again, with the wordplay, it's basically like a 5-day live stream where they had a bunch of DJs and tooth gems and, all that type of stuff. And then last week, they announced Charli XCX, rock star, as the brand's first global ambassador and investor. And if you've looked at their Instagram or social media page recently, she's, doing hot girl shit, whatever.
Music.
And so the reason I want to talk about this with you all, my smart and cool colleagues and co-hosts, is that it really feels like we're at this moment where tech is obviously extremely polarizing. It's ubiquitous. And everyone who's like in charge, or all the CEOs, are talking about how the newest innovation is like the scariest shit of all time. And it's just interesting to me that in a very kind of polarizing industry, there seems to be a more buzzier, cooler brand. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. Trey, I guess we can kick things off with you as someone who is more intimately familiar with Nothing.
Well, I used to have one of those Blueberry Macs, back in the 1990s or whatever, when they had different like cool colors to them.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I had friends over, everyone was like, "Whoa, you're so cool." And then I had one of those like eMacs, the white ones that were like. Anyway, so I've been a Mac person my whole life, actually.
Wow.
We had Macs because my parents were like teachers.
Mm.
So going back to like mid 90s, we had Macs.
That's
Never a
very
PC.
cool.
It was like, what is this Windows shit? But I think like for the longest time, you know, Apple kind of like stole market share because they had such design forward products. And then for, you know, the past decade at least, it's just been like, oh, you can fit even more songs in your pocket. Or like, you're like, what is this innovation? What happened to like, oh, 3 cameras instead of 2 cameras? And it's like, now we've got robots making my salad and that's what you're doing. Like,
yeah.
Where's the innovation here? So I don't know that nothing is like so innovative in terms of how it looks that it's like, I don't know, worthy of our money. Like the phones look really cool and I kind of want one and they're pretty inexpensive, but it's not like it's an offering that is so different, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm just like, I need to be wowed.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because I agree with you. I think from like an innovation standpoint, like Apple stood out both from like a design standpoint, but also from the standpoint of like the tech products that it was making were genuinely like new, you know, and novel. And I think like the newness of nothing hinges a lot on its just difference from Apple in a way that like it's making Androids cool or it's making a non-iPhone cool versus it is a cool product that stands alone. Like I think if the iPhone didn't exist or didn't have like the cultural sway that it does, I don't think that nothing's product or marketing would feel very different. But I think that like, and I don't know what you guys think about Charli XCX being a spokesperson, but like I think she's
investor.
Obviously
didn't they like
investor.
specifically say that it wasn't an ambassador but rather an investor?
I believe it's
Yeah.
both.
She's
Get you a
like,
girl who can do both.
Because like remember, I mean it's been a long time, but since, you know, 2020 there was like, oh, our chief taco officer, Lil Nas X or something.
oh yeah.
And like
Our
everyone
chief
just
taster.
getting these like vanity titles for the sake of getting press.
Yeah.
Where I thought this was kind of an interesting departure from that, where it's like we're naming her an investor and kind of outing her for like literally investing in the company. Or did she just get gifted shares for being the face of the brand and they're like, oh, we're going to call you an investor?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, does it function in similar ways at the end of the day too, where it's like,
Are you writing to the store because
I mean,
Charli is like
yeah, but I guess
investing in
it's
this
more
brand?
so like from a talent standpoint. Like if she is invested in the company, like obviously more so if it was her money to start with. But like even if she's been gifted shares, like she cares whether or not it does well or like cares whether or not.
Do you
I
think
mean,
so?
maybe. Like it depends,
she like
I
chain
guess.
smokes in like Italy?
But like I think that it's like you would care
I have
more.
nothing to be doing well today. And my stocks.
But like caring.
George, check the stocks.
Oh my God. But like I think caring more than it being like a taco spokesperson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe. Because I guess and like I don't know. Because I was like I feel like we rag on stuff all the time. I do think that there is something interesting about nothing. Which again, I don't know. It's like very confusing to keep talking about this. But like I do think that what they're doing is interesting to the extent that like I think a lot of brands have attempted to sort of carve out like a countercultural marketing space or work with people that are quote unquote countercultural. And you could argue whether or not Charli XCX actually is blah, blah, blah. But like I think that they have a claim to that space from a product standpoint that I think a lot of brands really don't. Like if you're talking about like a sneakers being countercultural, I think that that's like kind of a reach. But if you're talking about like we're creating a tech product that we think will be covetable, even though it's not the thing that like it doesn't give you the blue circle or whatever on your text messages, but like there's a different way of like creating value and like energy around something, which I think whether or not it succeeds is like still kind of a breath of fresh air in some ways.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how it will play long term, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think that they're trying to compete with like Apple insofar as reaching a $4.5 trillion market capitalization, like both due to probably like supply.
Well, they're already at over $1 billion.
Yeah, but
Nothing.
it ain't 4.3 trillion.
Sure.
But like to
the larger point being like, due to supply chain restrictions, due to just like general market share, it is interesting that like they are trying to find this quote unquote niche of like young creatives who might be fatigued with like how tech exists currently. And the way to do that is to like, I don't know, hire some buzzy kind of marketing guy who has a solid grasp on like what it means to gain relevance on TikTok and Instagram. But at the same time, I do think they do have some product innovation. And I was doing some background research. There is kind of like a community focused element on it where it seems as though they take a lot of feedback from the people who like use the product, because I think the people who use the product are also fairly knowledgeable about like design and the design world too, which I think is quite interesting.
Well, the thing that really differentiates it, right, is that it's like they use a lot of transparent, like not plastic, but plastic, right?
Yeah, it's like see-through a lot of it.
You can see the micro. It's like, remember those phones where it was like completely transparent and you could see the inside?
It was like the lightning bug or something, the fire. Do you guys
That's
remember
the one
these?
where it's like your parents wouldn't let you actually have a phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but weren't
like
those
3
see-through?
numbers. I don't
Maybe?
know.
It was
I don't
very
know.
like the babysitter's
How'd you
game
get
or
water?
whatever that like back in the you had like those, everyone in the 90s I feel like had this phone for a while.
Damn, don't
Yeah.
age us.
You guys don't remember, but
Yeah.
No, I don't remember this.
when it was like when you wanted a phone in your room and it was like, oh, I got my own phone with its like own separate line. I didn't know
That's
people who
cool.
like had this really, but you
Yeah.
know. The
So I don't
phones
know
were-
that Charli XCX is going to be accompanying Trump to, meet Xi Jinping to lock in a deal for the nothing phone.
But imagine the
But-
world in which
I mean, I would tune in.
I know
I would
two
tune in.
rock stars.
Tim Apple,
taking
you've been
over the
booted
world.
from the. You've been
Tim
booted
Apple.
from Air Force
do though-
One.
I do think it's so like we obviously all use technology every day. You know, I've got like an iPad, my iPhone, my other
Your
things.
nothing headphones.
My nothing
Mm.
headphones, my AirPod Maxes. And I do think that because everyone is now loath to like adopt new technology, but it's infiltrated our lives to a point where we cannot escape it,
Mm-hmm.
there does need to be some kind of like reckoning in making it look cool to kind of ingratiate it into your lives in a way that doesn't feel like cheesy or icky.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we're all trying to go analog and also your device is ugly, like I do think that there's, for I don't know, the tech people, even more of a, like an alarm bell sounding because
Yeah.
people actively want to like get away from your disgusting device that is like ruining your life.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that before? Is that something you see other people and like your phone is disgusting?
I'm always thinking about this, not just like in terms of technology, but just like products that are aesthetic to look at.
Mhm.
Like you want to display things and show friends things that are genuinely interesting to look at.
Yeah.
And never have I like put my iPad out to show people it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it seems like the most recent innovation, I suppose, is in like the wearables space, specifically with Meta Ray-Bans, which Trey, I know you're a user of.
I have it.
Speaking of icky, I feel like there are certain surveillance implications. First of all, I think that like probably a small minority, maybe not enough people are thinking about that, but like that seems to me to be the most like the newest quote unquote coolest thing is like a wearable camera.
Yeah.
And then the next stage of that is probably going to be some type of like Johnny Ive designed OpenAI orb. I don't know. I saw like some TMZ post about Kanye wearing like TBD OpenAI product, but
I also think like to Trey's point too, and I suppose to your point as well, like where you want technology to be, or the things that you're buying to be like pleasant to look at. But I think that there's also a part of like buying technology that like doesn't feel like you're buying technology in the same way that I feel like it used to be. Like at the height of Apple, it was like, I'm buying like the next quote unquote innovation. Do you know what I mean? Like this is
right.
revolutionizing technology. Whereas I think now people are buying technology in a way that like we don't want it to feel like we're buying technology. Like buying a brick is still a type of technology, but you're like, no, this is like a different type of thing. Like this is helping me like
Yeah, like why
reclaim
does it
my
look like an ankle
time
monitor from like
and
prison?
resist.
You know what I mean?
You know?
I
Like-
think even in this case, like where Apple invented the white wired headphones, which at the
Yeah.
time was a marketing ploy, but everyone had just like the wired black ones that you get on like the airplane or whatever. So
Mhm.
obviously the white ones are just like something interesting to look at because it's net new. But now there's just like very few examples that you can point to because everyone who invents this shit is like a corny loser from San Jose area.
Well, I think there's that. I also think they just like have monopolized kind of like everything that you can in terms of like how you might scale something like that too.
Right.
Yeah.
But
The
I
chips,
think like,
the
remember Google
distribution.
Glasses?
Yeah.
Like there's been so many times where Google Glasses, I think, they had like FK Twigs was the face of Google Glasses, and she did like those cool dancing videos where she, you know, they always bring over to these like fashion people into the tech space to try and get them to like reinvigorate a bum product, and it's never worked. Like you can throw the CMO of Loewe in there and I'm sure he'll do something interesting, but there was, I feel like Google Glasses, they had someone there too. It was like, I forget who.
Well, maybe we need to recalibrate what we talk about when we say like worked, because what I mean is like you feel maybe excited and intrigued by a tech product, where like what we're talking about is like there's with the other quote unquote innovation, whether it's like a wearable or I don't know, a new Apple product, it's both like you've got it because due to like planned obsolescence, like, oh, my battery ran out, you know, and then you get the iPhone like 27 SE, or there's like, oh my God, are you filming me right now? Whereas like what I think is interesting and exciting about nothing is like, at least, and maybe this is due to my own marketing pilling, like I am intrigued by the product and would like to see more. And I think that is quite rare when it comes to an industry that feels almost like a blight due to its ubiquity and like what it has done to all of us. So I don't know. I don't like, it might not work in the sense that they're going to be like a multi-billion-dollar company, but I think it's worked in the sense that like, how can you recalibrate people's sentiment around an industry that is like, it's everywhere, but it's also kind of like most hated. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I'm interested in it.
I think I'm completely in agreement with you. And I think that nothing has all of the ingredients to create something that's genuinely interesting without completely becoming ubiquitous and like all the other devices we have. However, I think because the bar is so low, the innovation that we think we're seeing, where it's like you've got, you know, an interestingly designed product, you've got like a really interesting personality to kind of help you market it too, and like a kind of genuine community and path forward to creating more innovative products. Like all of the ingredients are there at the CMO of Loewe, you know, whatever. But I just feel like the bar is so low, like you're trying to beat the folding screen Huawei. Like I don't think that, you know, making technology cool, I don't think that will happen in our lifetime.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the bar is extremely high, actually, because I think about how many people, think about the market share that like a company like Apple has.
Right, but like
Microsoft.
think about people who used to buy speaker systems for their home, and it was like Burlwood speakers that like looked amazing next to your cool leather couch or something. Like I feel like there's so many easy ways to make something look cool, like headphones, right? Or a phone. I get transparent is kind of cool to see the inner workings or whatever, but for the stuff that you don't really want to show off, there was like, again, I go back to my American psychoization theory I was talking about a couple pods ago, but I think that like there was such a culture in the late 90s, early 2000s around wanting to show off the products that you bought and whatever new device that was coming out. Like tech was obviously newer, you know, like the cool phone in Matrix, like that whatever it was called. But like, where is that today? Like, where is the Nokia of today that's like genuinely innovating in a way that's pushing things forward in a way that looks futuristic or like something you haven't seen before versus this kind of like transparent retro 90s technology of the phone my friend had in her bedroom because she wanted like her separate line, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think it's like, it's also interesting because I feel like when we were talking about Apple and some of the other sort of tech movers or whatever, you were talking about like ubiquity. And I think the other piece that's interesting at the moment, I feel like, is as tech has advanced, it has moved to be like much much more invisible and like just integrated into our lives. Like the phones get so much thinner, and whatever, like the alarm that we have or the timer that we have for the podcast now is like the same color as the wall, essentially. Like everything is sort of like blending into the background. And I know what you mean, like with nothing. It's both like obviously a sort of retro design, but like I think that I know what you mean. Like it's not innovative from a design standpoint, but I think that like it is sort of like asking maybe to be seen or to be treated like technology in a way that I feel like an iPhone now is sort of meant to be this invisible extension of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even like
Like
Apple's
you buy a
other
case
products. Yeah, you buy like a
My
case
OtterBox.
for
Not
yeah.
me, I'm nude.
I mean,
Yeah, Eli's an always
Raw dog.
nude phone, which is crazy. But like I do think that it's an interesting thing, and I don't know, like maybe down the line, who knows, like if they get into home speaker systems and things like that. But I do think it's an interesting way of like differentiating it from like what Apple is doing or what these other companies are doing, is that like it's trying to create a product that like you treat as a tech product versus like you treat as like this like second hand or this third hand that's like always with you almost. You know?
yeah, I think that also brings me back to, and I know I've like beat this horse so dead, but I got a Walkman recently, and it's a Walkman WM140 from 1988 or something. And it just like looks really cool. Like you can put it on the table and be kind of impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being repaired. I took it to the repair shop because it's not great
Where
quality.
do you go for a Walkman repair
So
these days?
this is crazy because I famously have spent a lot of time in Dime Square. And literally next
Wow.
to Dimes, there's like this high-tech electronic place that I've walked by probably 200 times in my life and have never seen. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
this
The
is
one
like
that does the
old.
signs.
Yeah, no, they just do like old technology repairs on
Mm.
Canal Street.
Wow.
But they've got like inside, again, kind of to my point, like there's the Walkman that is kind of the design cool version. There's like the Sports Max one that's bright yellow and like plastic, so you can like throw it down the street and it wouldn't even get like a nick on it or whatever. But there was so many different pieces of technology that were not only formulated for like practical use, depending on what kind of lifestyle you had, but also innovative. Like it looked really interesting to look at. Like if you go, through these old stores or on eBay to look at, old Walkmans, there's so much different stuff to see. There's actually a really interesting Substack, which is kind of the reason I bought this Walkman. And it just goes through old Sony products and like gives you the history of them and why they were designed this way or whatever. I'm gonna find the link and I'll send it to you. But there's like still genuinely a community of fervent people who love this technology that they're writing about it on Substack.
Mhm.
That nobody is doing the same for nothing. I'm sorry, that's just not happening.
No.
I
think
mean,
the
as
thing
much as
too-
you want to go Dita Roms and talk about the symmetry of,
Oh my
and design
God.
sensibility,
I
of
do.
tech,
I do.
I think people are writing about it. I think it's an interesting case study in kind of, I don't know, revitalizing. Like it used to be, I suppose it used to be sexy and cool. Think about how many fucking mood board ass photos you've seen of like the horny PS2 and Nintendo ads. And
Yeah.
like it felt a little transgressive and revolutionary. And like now that's grown stale because a lot of these companies are like a victim of their own success. And I think it's interesting to have kind of like a more rebellious company. That was a British accent attempt, but I don't
like
know.
Smithers
I don't
is
know.
here.
I'm just trying to set like, as I know that the general kind of atmosphere of cynicism on this podcast is why people tune in oftentimes, but I'm trying to have a bit more of a positive outlook.
No, that's
on
a
it.
nice
That's
But-
really
flip
positive.
the script
Wow,
for you.
thanks
Yeah.
guys.
I know. New spring, new Eli.
Mm.
It's
all the pollen.
And I
Yeah,
am
exactly.
on the positive train, but I am always I am. I agree. I think nothing is very cool. I think they're doing a lot of things right. But I am always wanting more.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I think one should want more.
The binary, more or nothing.
Right.
Well, all right. We'll have more of nothing, I'm sure, later on. I might buy myself a pair of headphones. Who knows?
A pair of nothing.
A pair of nothing. Final question. One recommendation for the road.
I recently discovered this like open source website for audiobooks called LibriVox.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's mostly kind of like, it's like the Gutenberg of audiobooks,
Yeah.
basically. So you can find a lot of old like classics, which is what I try and read. But my attention span has become
Hell yeah.
nothing.
What are you reading? Atlas Shrugged?
Howard's End,
Okay.
Ian Forster.
Wow.
Yeah, which is great, but I need to like read along, to be honest.
Okay.
I know. Well, I was going to say something similar. I'm reading Middlemarch at the moment.
Nice.
And I also got the audiobook version
must
of
know.
it. Yeah.
Middlemarch.
George Eliot. Anyway, Eli's English history teacher is rolling in his or her grave or current apartment. Maybe they're not
Current
dead.
apartment.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
Not that old.
I've been enjoying it, but it is like hard, I think, sometimes to like continue the thread of a sentence where it's like I feel like what I've noticed with my attention span is it's like the sentences are so long that I'm like, wait, this is like the third comma in this sentence, and I'm like losing the plot. So the audiobook I feel like is really helpful for like getting into like the cadence. Yeah. But what about you, Eli? Are you reading a classic?
Well, what was your recommendation? Middlemarch?
Middlemarch,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. No, I watched or am watching a movie called Z or Zed. It's about
Like the Brad Pitt one?
No. It's about
zombie one?
assassination in like 1960s France.
Nice.
Wow.
Anyway, thanks for tuning
Little
in,
something
everyone.
for everyone.
Except for English teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. See you next time.